And the title we've given this morning was, I Am Making All Things New. Just going to give us a moment. It's great to just celebrate the baptisms. It's great to be baptized in a Theo. It's my middle name. I was ashamed of it as a child, so Theo, you're very brave. It means gift of God. So Theo, great guy, love it. So we can have that all day long. But this whole thing of walking in new life is what we want to talk about this morning. So I'm going to read the passage, and then we'll get into some. But it's going to be interactive. So children, you know, if the packs are boring, I'll be much more interesting than your packs, and I have eggs. Okay? Just saying. Okay, so Luke 24 verse 1 says, on the first day of the week, very early in the morning, and it wasn't because the hour had gone forward, it actually was very early in the morning, the women took the spices they had prepared and went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. While they were wondering about this, suddenly two men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them. In their fright, the women bowed down their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still with you in Galilee, the Son of Man must be delivered over to the hands of sinners, be crucified, and on the third day be raised again." Then they remembered his words. When they came back from the tomb, they told all these things to the 11 disciples, and to all the others. It was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the others with them who told this to the apostles. But they did not believe the women, because their words seemed to them like nonsense. Peter, however, got up and ran to the tomb. Bending over, he saw the strips of linen lying by themselves, and he went away wondering to himself what had happened. The messages were a verbal message. So I want to illustrate that this morning. I need probably 6 or 7 volunteers who are willing to stand in the middle. There's an egg in it for you. Stand in the middle. Youngsters would be helpful, and some adults. But yeah, come and stand in the middle. Tolu's always up for an egg. Anyone else? Come on, praise. Yeah. Oh, Matilda's here. Come on, yeah, come on. Just get in the... Oh, God, they're all coming now. Right, that's enough. All right, we'll be here all day otherwise. Okay. What we're going to do, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to whisper in Matilda's ear a message. This game's called Pass the Message. It did have another name previously, but it's now called Pass the Message, or the telephone game, you might know. And I'm going to whisper a message in Matilda, and she's got to whisper it to the next person. It's got to go all the way down. And we'll see what message we get at the end, okay? We understand the rules, everyone? Yeah. Okay, so come closer. I've got to remember what the message is now, actually. Oh, yes. Turn. Good idea. One chance. Go on. Tell them again. Tell them again. Okay, quickly pass it on. Then come and get an egg. That's fine. Go on, keep going. Change it, praise if you got something. What did he hear? Nothing. You could have said something. What did he say? Yeah, that's fine. Just say that to her. You tell him what you hear. An egg? I don't think there's any nuts in the eggs, but if you have got a child who's allergic to nuts, please be careful. Come on, hurry up. Hurry up. Come. The soldiers are at the door. Come on.
How many we taking?
One egg. Or you can have a stick thing. Right, who's the end? Who's at the end of the messages? Alice. Hey? Jesus has risen. Fantastic. Very good. That's not the message that I gave Mathilde, but... So the message I said to Mathilde was, walk in new life. I think that's it looks like a squirrel, it sounds like a squirrel, but the answer is definitely Jesus. Everyone gets to in the end. Okay, so Milton Jones says, that famous philosopher, he says, Easter is like a game of pass the message. Jesus said, love God and each other, and we ended up with love the Easter bunny. That's a joke, yes? Ha. Okay, that didn't work, did it? Never mind. Okay, my jokes are obviously better. So we all know that Easter is not about the Easter bunny. It's not about Easter eggs, but it's all about the resurrection of Jesus as we read the story. That is that Jesus defeated death and rose again, back to life after dying for our sin on the cross. But what is Easter? What is this? Why do we call it Easter? And I'm sure you have lots of questions about why we give eggs and why it's even called that. So let me just bust a few myths. There is much debate about where the origin of the name Easter comes from. Very little historical evidence or even what makes sense. But if you have an Old English Bible, King James Version or the Tyndale, you might find in Acts chapter 12 that the Passover is translated as Easter in those versions, first English Bibles that we had, nearly over 500 years old. So maybe there was we see that probably the Reformers, they're Reformers Bibles, the first English Bibles we had, and they obviously looked at Easter being a celebration of Passover, that Jesus had raised again, God had passed over. So we know the whole story. We're not going to go into Passover today. Other people think that Easter comes from, a pagan goddess. There is actually very little evidence for that. One person said it. One person. And I don't think these guys who are reformers would be happy to relate Jesus' resurrection or the Passover with a pagan goddess. So I don't think that rings true. They were very particular, weren't they? Certainly Luther was very particular about how he communicated the gospel and the thing. So, but it's more likely to come from German. We blame the Germans for everything, okay? Any Germans amongst us today? No Germans. Oh dear, that's a shame. Lots of us have got origins of German, unfortunately it's Anglo-Saxons, but never mind. But actually it's about translating this word Passover and relating to the dawn in the East. New life. Why does Easter move, people ask me. I hear. Well, it used to follow the Passover. So it used to be Passover. Jesus celebrated the Passover with his disciples, and then he is crucified the next day. We know that, don't we? We hear that in the stories. And actually, it always used to follow the Passover. But Pete can tell me, when is the Passover this year, Pete? April the 19th. We're not following Passover. So what's going on? Why are we following Passover anymore? Well, we now follow in the Roman calendar. We follow Easter is the first weekend after the spring equinox full moon. There you go. That's how it's decided in this country. So once you see that full moon, you know that in spring, you know that Easter is coming. It's convenience rather than faith, basically. Everyone wanted Easter to be on the same day of the week at the time. Same day of the year, but they decided on the same day of the week. Okay. Eggs. Let's talk about eggs. Who's interested in Easter eggs this morning? Lucas, first hand up there. Why Easter eggs? I know I had this question from Valentina, one of our, who's from Ukraine. Eggs represent new life or rebirth. In the Middle Ages, approximately 500 AD, eating any sort of egg during Lent, which is the 40 days of fasting before Easter, was forbidden. So they couldn't eat eggs. So Easter Sunday was the first day that people could eat eggs. So obviously it became an important thing to have eggs on Easter Sunday. The problem being, oh, that's my timer gone already. That's shocking. So, who fixed that? Right, move on. So eating eggs on Easter Sunday became a special thing. Because of that, you couldn't eat Easter eggs. Sorry, not Easter eggs, eggs at all. There's lots of superstitions around eggs and things like that. Right, one question, see if we get the answer. Where does the tradition of painting eggs come from? Anyone know which country the tradition of painting eggs comes from? Germany? No. Let me ask Valentina. Valentina, which country does the painting of eggs traditionally come from? Just give us a minute. She's just getting the translation. Ukraine, yes. All the way from Ukraine is the tradition of painting eggs come from that. And then egg rolling. Where's my egg for rolling? There we are. Egg rolling. This is my painted egg. Painted it myself, not. Egg rolling was quite popular. And again, we talk about in the story we saw that the women come to the tomb and the stone is rolled away. So Tricius thought actually the egg rolling was about the stone being rolled away in front of the tomb. Okay? And basically people painted eggs, early Christian tradition, people painted eggs and then they rolled them and whoever got the furthest without breaking. Now I asked my wife if I could bring real eggs and she said no. So I've got this egg. So let's see how far I can roll it, okay? Doesn't roll very well. Oh, that's not bad, was it? Okay, you can break that open and eat the contents. Right. What year was the first chocolate egg introduced? Anyone know? The year of the first chocolate egg. Later than that, Ben? No, you're being silly now. There's a cream egg in for the winner. You can guess the year. Right, think of the 1800s, okay? 1873, Tolu, looking on the Google. Google wins. He said the right answer. I didn't say you couldn't look at your phones. The man's got resources. Anyone know who made the first Cadbury's egg? Anyone know? It was Fry's, actually. That was a joke. Yeah. Cadbury's came later. First dairy milk chocolate egg was 1897. There you go. Not that old. But obviously, rabbits don't lay eggs. apparently. Getting on. Okay. There's many, if you look through children's stories and many of our stories, there's lots of resurrection stories through that. And one of my favorites is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I think I quoted it recently. And also you got things like Lord of the Rings that have a very Easter biblical message within them, hidden within these novels that are written. One of the phrases that you hear in Lord of the Rings is, Sam, when he discovers that Gandalf is alive again, he said, is everything sad going to become untrue? Is everything sad going to become untrue? And what Jesus is saying as yes, I have made a change. The resurrection brings that things that have been sad will be untrue. Jesus is changing everything at this point. But let's get back to The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Written by C.S. Lewis. It's the second book in the series. And the so-called Queen of Narnia, and let me give that illustration, that she's the devil, okay? She wants to take over. And she comes to Aslan and says, you have a traitor there, Aslan. This is Edmund, who has basically brought his brothers and sisters to Narnia to be, he didn't know why, but she wanted to kill them. Well, said Aslan, his offense was not against you. The witch says, have you forgotten the deep magic? Asked the witch. Let us say I have forgotten it, said Aslan gravely. Tell us of this deep magic. Tell you, said the witch, her voice growing suddenly shriller. Tell you what is written on that very table of stone which stands beside us. You know at least the magic with which the emperor put into Narnia at the very beginning. That's the Father. You know that every traitor that belongs to me is my lawful prey, and that for every treachery I have a right to kill. And so that human creature is mine. His life is forfeit to me. His blood is my property. That's where we stand. Traitors, sinners, those who have gone against God's plan, the great Lord of the universe. It is very true, said Aslan. I do not deny it. Oh, Aslan, whispered Susan in the lion's ear. Can't we, you won't, will you? Can't we do something about the deep magic? Isn't there something you can work against it? Work against the emperor's magic, said Aslan, turning to her with something like a frown on his face. And nobody made the suggestion to him again. So Aslan goes to the witch at night, doesn't tell anyone else. Edmund is released from his the queen's hold on Edmund, who's the so-called traitor. And Aslan goes at night. And I don't want to spoil the end of the story, but I'm going to, because you already know the end. Aslan goes and he sacrifices himself for Edmund. He dies in the traitor's stead. And the queen thinks she's won. She thinks she's destroyed the great lion. Jesus is often called the great lion in the Bible. And the two girls wait through the night, tears. And in the morning, Aslan rises again. He's alive, his mane is restored. And this is how he says, this is what he in response to the two girls at that point. He said, she, the witch, so self-declared Queen of Narnia, would have known that when a willing victim who had committed no treachery was killed in a traitor's stead, the table would crack and death itself would start working backward. Death itself would start working backward. In Acts 2:24 it says, God raised him, losing the pangs of death because it was not possible for him to be held by it. Everything is turned its head. Right, just a quick illustration to finish. My two volunteers, willing volunteers, can, here's my youngest son, Joshua, or Jesus in Greek. Joshua is Jewish for Jesus, okay? He's the Savior. And then I have Ben, the son of my right hand, who is playing death, okay? The black T-shirt gives that. So we all think, so Death is quite tall, obviously, isn't he? Bit taller than Jesus. Who do you think is going to win in this fight? Jesus should look a bit meeker, but you know, my hand is limited. So listen, so Death, can you push back Jesus? No, you can't. Can you turn death around? Can you hold Jesus, please, back? Can you hold him back? No, gentle now, Jesus. Gentle Jesus. Death has no hold on Jesus. Jesus has turned, do it again, death around. No, just turn him around. The key thing about the resurrection is that is what has happened. Death has been turned around. Death has been defeated. Now we still suffer death, don't we? We still know that loss in our lives. But actually when Jesus comes again, it'll be completely finished. Death will be completely destroyed. But Jesus did that work on the cross and with the resurrection. So bless you. Sit down now, boys. Thank you. So we're going to close in a moment. We're going to sing a final song. But let me just read you some verses from Revelation. If you want to stand. Perhaps you've not given your life to faith. We've heard some great stories this morning, all very different, because we are all very different. There isn't a same way that we all come to God. God speaks to us in very different ways. And we have this final picture in the Bible in Revelation 21, and this is God speaking to John. And he says, I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. And God himself will be as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. And death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more. For the former things have passed away. And he who was seated on the throne said, behold, I am making all things new. Amen. Bless you. Happy Easter.